So hi everybody, and thank you for coming. And my name is Tom Fell. I'm the head of journalism and communication here at NUI Galway, and we're delighted you've come here today. First of all, to our open day, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're learning a bit about our programs and about the university. And secondly, specifically to this course, the GY 119 BA in Journalism program. I'm going to talk to you for about 20 minutes about how the program runs, what to expect on the program, what the career opportunities are, what our facilities are, and so on. And at the end of that process, I'll answer some common questions. And if you have other questions, you can reach me in the chat, or indeed you can email me or get me on social media afterwards. So first up, I thought I might play a video. So this, just to give you some context, this is a short video that we've produced here at NUI Galway to give you a sense of what to expect if you come on our journalism programs, what our facilities are like, what the students do, and how our studios look. So here you go.
I think when we're live on air is the most fun. It's proper news like RT61, and you can see the studio here is state of the art. It's amazing to get some experience in it. There's a lot of teamwork involved, and I think people don't realize how much teamwork goes into a production. There's people doing the vision mixing, there's producers and editors, and the rush you get when the record button is hit is just amazing, and it's just really fun atmosphere to be in.
Good afternoon and welcome to Galway Pub. 4 cases of COVID-19 have now been confirmed in the west of Ireland. Precautions have been.
At the start of the year, we were all very nervous behind the mic, behind the camera, and now we're just like second skin. We have our own radio station here in NUI Galway. It's called Farta FM. I present the breakfast show on a Tuesday morning. It's only when I went into this course that I found that love for radio. I didn't have it before. I didn't really know anything about radio before I did this course.
I guess the only constant in journalism is change. So innovation really is at the core of what we do here. We're not just training our journalism students to work in the local newspaper. Of course, some of them do. But we're also doing really interesting things in multimedia and podcasting and social media.
We get to pick a lot of what we want to do ourselves. So you get to try radio and you get to try TV, and you also get to try digital writing. So there's something there for everyone.
The kind of qualities that we look for in somebody who wants to be a journalist are adaptability, creativity, and curiosity. You can't be a journalist if you're not curious.
What drives me to journalism is bringing stories to people that you wouldn't hear otherwise. I feel like being a journalist, you're a watchdog for the people, and that's very important nowadays. With a lot of people getting fake news and stuff on social media, it's just so important for us to do our job correctly and verify sources and make sure we inform people properly on what is going on in the world.
We have students come to NUI Galway from India, from China, from the US, and they have a fantastic experience while they're here. And they're doing really interesting things in social content production, working for tech companies, or starting their own businesses. There's never been a better time to be a journalist.
I'd love to be the next Sharon Dole on RT News.
Okay, so there you go. That was hopefully a quick introduction and an overview to what we do here at NUI Galway, and hopefully it gave you some sense of our programs and what we do and how we do it, and indeed our facilities as well. So let me just switch back here to, if I can, wants to start playing again there now. There we go. Okay, so let's keep going. Just maybe let me introduce you first to the BA in journalism. So this is a relatively new program. There's been a journalism program at Galway for a long time, but the undergrad program is relatively new, and it was revamped in 2019. So the current program is only really in its 3rd year. It offers you, I think, an exciting range of modules, including radio and television, and obviously news reporting, allowing you to report the news on air and live in a real TV studio. It prepares graduates for specialist careers in journalism, broadcasting, online, and the news media, and offers you direct entry into high caliber master's programs in journalism, in sports journalism, and in global media, subject to meeting obviously the entry criteria for those programs. So what will you learn on the BA journalism specifically? So it's a 4-year joint honours program. That's the first thing to say. So you take journalism alongside another art subject to degree level. The program teaches you about journalism, how to write and report the news, and you can choose to take optional modules in, for example, magazine journalism or sports journalism in your second year. You learn about why journalism is important and why it matters for democracy and for society. So why journalism matters is kind of a core component to the degree. You'll study the history of media, for example, and theories of media and communication. So issues like framing, agenda setting, bias, those kinds of areas. You'll work in our broadcast studios on radio reporting and on television. And you'll be able to choose a second art subject from a list of subjects offered. And we'll have a look at that list just in a minute now. So the outline of the program then, as I said, it's a 4-year degree program. And the third year of that program is off campus entirely. So you're off campus for a year in your third year. So you're either on a year abroad and study abroad, or Erasmus. Erasmus is in Europe, study abroad is outside of Europe, in the US or Canada or elsewhere. Or you can do a year of an internship of work experience, or, and this is very common, and indeed we would recommend you take this option, you would do a split year where you do 1 semester abroad and 1 semester of work experience. That kind of gives you the best of both worlds. I think it's a really clever thing to do, and we would certainly recommend you try and do that if you can. In your first year, you'll take journalism as a subject, along with 2 other art subjects. So you take 3 subjects in first year, journalism and 2 other subjects. And at the end of first year, you'll keep on the subject you really like and drop the other one. So you'll do journalism alongside your other art subject to degree level in what we call joint honours. The Americans would call that a double major. So you'd have a double major or a joint honours degree, a dual honours degree. That's what you'd end up with journalism as your first major and your second art subject as your second major. So that way, you're really kind of, you've got a really good, strong liberal arts base to your degree program. So you have the specialisms in journalism, you have the practical knowledge there, but you also have, for example, you might have a really strong interest in politics, so you can take politics, or you might have a really strong interest in law, so you can take law, or as very often happens, you like English literature or one of the languages, let's say French, so you can do journalism with French to degree level, which means you'll be fluent in French and have a degree in journalism at the end of your degree. We think that's a really valuable way of doing it, and we would certainly think that's probably the best way of doing it. So that's why we do it that way. So the subjects you can take, you can't do every single subject that's an offer on the arts degree, but you can do quite a few of them. And these are the subjects that you can take. So you can take information technology, economics, politics and sociology, history, law, philosophy, English literature, and the languages. So Gaelic, French, Spanish, or Italian. Those are the subject choices you can take. Sometimes we get asked, can I take psychology? You can't, unfortunately. And the reason being is that it's quite a busy subject, journalism, and so the hours clash with psychology. And indeed, you can take other subjects as well, like classics, it clashes as well, geography clashes, German clashes. So it's not the full list of subjects that you can take. But that would be the same with any degree, where there are going to be clashes depending on the subjects that you take. So this is a list you can take if you choose journalism. And the only way to do journalism is through the BA in journalism. You can't do it as part of the arts degree. So then how does the program break down across the 4 years? So in first year, you take 4 modules. Remember, in first year, you're taking 3 subjects. So 4 modules in first year. And history of media, which looks at the history of the media, how we got the media we have. For example, the Gutenberg press, the first press that printed the Bible, all the way up to the foundation of what became kind of the Guardian, is now 200 years old. The yellow press in the 1890s, kind of sensationalist Jack the Ripper type stories, to the birth of the Irish state, the birth of tabloids, the birth of radio and television in the 20th century, and so on. Intro to Media and Communication then looks at kind of the context and theory of media, how media works, why we should think about it, why we should critically think about it, and communication studies as well. This is the News is your basic first year introduction to news writing. So how to write the news and features. And then Radio Fundamentals is your first year introduction to broadcasting. So where you'll be working on simple radio reporting, some news reading, and indeed some work in the studio in your first year. So that's a really exciting first year, we think. And it's a great start to the year. Then second year, you take 6 modules. Each module is worth 5 credits each. And it's a mix of theory and practice across the year. You'll specialize in modules focusing, for example, on online and social media, multimedia, and what we call mojo or mobile reporting using your mobile phone, broadcasting for radio and television, news and feature writing and reporting, so how to be a news reporter. And then you can choose between magazine journalism or sports journalism. Those are 2 really popular modules that we have to give students in the second year a chance to specialize in something that really interests them. And other modules, for example, in second year include Power Without Responsibility, that looks at bias and ownership and big issues like that, the role of media in democracy and how they use power and how maybe sometimes they abuse power. And then also Understanding Media Audiences, which looks at kind of how the media interact with audiences and how audiences consume media, be it on newsprints or watching television or sharing through social media and so on. So that's second year. Then third year, as I mentioned already, is a full year off campus where you can choose to do an internship in a local media organization. We partner with many local radio and newspapers, other local communications companies, and there's some opportunities as well at national level. For example, RTE offer 1 place every year to our undergrad students to do an internship. Or you can do a study abroad / Erasmus placement, and that simply means that you go to another university in another country and you study there for the full year. Or, as I said already, you can choose a split year, which is a bit of both. You can do 1 semester of study abroad or Erasmus and 1 semester of an internship. And I did that when I was a student many years ago. And many of our students take that option. And I would personally say that's the best option because you get the opportunity to do a work placement and you get the opportunity to do an internship. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Then in fourth year, what happens in fourth year? So fourth year really is your capstone year where you're going to be spending a lot of time working on kind of projects and so on and so on. So on the journalism side, you'll take 6 credits again, 6 modules again, each are worth 5 credits. Obviously, you'll also keep on your art subject to degree level. And it's a mix of theory and practice. In fourth year, you'll do advanced skills in reporting. So we'll be looking at reporting, writing, investigating, and putting together, news media. So you'll do, for example, a newspaper in your fourth year or a magazine for print and for digital. And then you'll also do a module called Advanced Broadcasting, where you'll do news reporting for radio and television news journalism. So you'll, in our television studio, you'll produce news for TV. So that's a really exciting module, and that happens as well across the second semester of fourth year. The other modules you'll take in fourth year include, for example, media law and ethics, which looks at issues like defamation, privacy, the laws the media must obey in terms of how they report the news and so on, and understanding the courts and the court system, and then also Irish media policy. So kind of from the birth of the Irish state 100 years ago, how Irish media policy has developed. For example, the Censorship of Films Act was one of the very early pieces of legislation that the Irish government introduced way back in the 1920s. The birth of Radio Éireann, which became RTE, the Irish Press, how it was founded, the Irish Independent, a very important newspaper in Ireland, the Irish Times, equally an important newspaper in Ireland, right the way up to the birth of commercial radio and the expansion of radio into commercial national radio and commercial local radio, and then the birth of TG Cahir, Irish language television station, and Virgin, what was TV3 that became Virgin Media, and so on. So looking at kind of policy around that and the kind of more contemporary issues to do with how media is structured, owned and controlled in Ireland. That's that module there in fourth year. So that's the breakdown of the program across the 4 years. I hope that makes sense to you. So further study then. So I think it might seem like it's a long way off, but I would say to you that if you're considering doing a BA in journalism, and if you're considering coming to Galway in particular to do the BA in journalism, well, obviously we're delighted to hear that, but you really should be considering this a 4+1 year. So in the same way that now if you do an engineering degree, you really have to get chartered. You have to do that master's year. We would say the same thing to all of our undergrads, that really you should be thinking about doing a +1 year, the add-on year at the end to give you the master's in media or in journalism or in whatever subject that you want, to give you the expertise. Because we know that 66% of graduates go on to do a postgraduate degree, and we know that employers in particular are looking for that really high level of specialization that you get in a master's degree. So the BA very much as a liberal arts degree gives you a great grounding as a critical thinker. It gives you some really great skills, and you learn a lot about journalism. But if you want to really become a kind of a professional journalist, you need to do the master's at the end. And obviously you don't have to do it in journalism. I'm just saying you should think about doing a master's. The three we offer here are the MAJ, which has 3 strands to it. You can either do the news reporting strand, which is a straightforward journalism strand. You can do international journalism, which trains you to be a foreign correspondent, or you can do the business journalism stream, which trains you to be a business and financial journalist. The second option there is the MA in Global Media and Communication. This is a really interesting and different kind of master's program that looks at some of the issues that might be relevant to journalism, but is much more broad. So those of you who might be interested in a career in the media, but not necessarily working in journalism, this is the master's you want to do. So there are 4 streams here. The first one is social media and digital technology. This one gives you really high-end skills in social media, digital production, coding, web media, and so on. So if you want to work in a kind of a digital role in websites or social content production or data, this is kind of the master's you want to do. It's really, really popular, and employers are telling us these are exactly the skills they're looking for. The second stream there is business and financial communication. So very similar to the business journalism stream, except that it looks at more at the communication side. The third stream is humanitarian communication and human rights. So you're interested in working for international organizations like the United Nations, or indeed the European Union, or the Department of Foreign Affairs here in Ireland, or Irish Aid, or any NGOs, charity sector, that kind of thing. This trains you to be a professional communications person working in humanitarian communication. So aid workers and so on. This is kind of the master's program that would get you into that kind of career. And the last one there is very topical and very new, and I'm sure you'll appreciate it's a really hot issue right now, if you'll pardon the pun, is climate action and sustainability communication. So if you want to work on climate change, on communicating climate change, on impacting policy around climate change, and on communicating to the wider public, to stakeholders and so on, and again working with NGOs perhaps, or working with policymakers, or working in a communications role with a specific organization in the environment, the climate change area, climate action area, this is the stream you want to take. So that's a really popular master's program. We get really great students from all over the world in that master's program. Indeed, in our journalism one as well, it's very prestigious. We get great students there from all over the world as well. The last one there, is the MA in sports journalism and communication, is exactly what you think it is. If you want to work as a sports journalist, or you want to work in a national governing body or a sporting organization as a communications professional, then this is the master's that you would do. It's the only master's program of its kind in Ireland. There are similar ones in other universities, but this one is very unique and very specific, and it's again a very popular program. We have a very limited intake every year into that program. We're taking about 10 students a year, so it's quite limited. So those are your options for master's degrees if you want to do the add-on year afterwards, and we would very much say you should think about doing that. So what kind of careers then would you be trained for if you did this master's? Or if you did this undergrad first? So obviously the news media and sports media, so working as a journalist or a reporter or a researcher or a producer or an assistant producer, be it in broadcasting and so on. Tech companies, including Google, Facebook, and Instagram, they very often hire liberal arts graduates with media and some technology experience. Social media and content production, so being a content producer for social media for other online platforms. Communication, public relations and marketing. Radio, television, and film industry. Politics, public administration and public affairs. EU institutions, NGOs, the diplomatic corps, and the charity sector. Just to give you a sense of the kind of jobs that might be of interest to some of you if you did this degree program. So our facilities, we have a newsroom to start with. I haven't mentioned that here, but we have a newsroom. You saw it in the clip there earlier, where our students do most of their work is in our newsroom. And right now we're building a new digital sandbox space, which will be a state-of-the-art media lab in it. That'll be open hopefully in the very near future. We have a digital radio studio. We have podcasting facilities, and we have a 4K television news studio that only opened in the last year. And you'll see pictures of it there in the bottom, and you saw it in the video as well. There on top, you'll see one of our adjunct professors showing her work with some of our students. Showing her work, as many of you will know, was an RTE broadcaster for many years and presented his own show on RTE until very, very recently. So those are some of our facilities. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. We have a sister program, just to mention it, called the BA in Global Media. There's another talk on about that as well. It's GY135. It's the BA in Global Media, the sister program to this program. If you're interested in that program, it's a really great program as well. It's different though. It's a slightly wider program that takes a more wider view. You can do a little bit of journalism in it, but you also do web media. You do media production. You can do some creative coding. You can do a little bit of film studies as well, or you can do language. You can do Irish language media. You can do media through Irish bilingually. So it's a much more, I suppose, a much more broad program, which gives you more options. The journalism program, of course, is very focused on journalism. So if you know you want to be a journalist and you're applying to this program, then you're in the right place. I'm just saying if you're interested or you're not quite sure, that's really a good option as well, the BA in Global Media. The other option you could take, if you're interested, is you can do within the arts degree, you can do the arts subject called Global Media. It runs across 3 years, so you don't have a third year abroad or an internship, an off-campus experience in that sense, and you don't get the same level of practical modules that you would do in the BA Global Media or this BA in journalism. So it's a more limited choice through the arts degree, but it is there as an option as well. The one good thing about the arts degree option is you can switch. You can move at the end of first year into the BA in Global Media if we have space, number one, and number two, if your results are good enough. And we'll be basing it on the results at the end of first year. So we'll be looking at your results, and we'll take people from kind of the highest person down if we have space to fill spaces in that program at the end of first year. That's it for me. You may have some questions. If you do, please reach out to me. You can get me in the chat right now. I'm there right now. Or you can reach me on our social media platforms. Feel free to do that. Or you can email me directly at tom.fell@nuigalway.ie. We can have a chat online, or I'm very happy to do a Zoom call with you, or you and your parents, or indeed you and your guidance counselor at some stage if you want to do that. Thank you very much for coming. I hope this was useful, and I hope you have a good day here in NUI Galway. And finally, let me wish you the best for your exams coming up this summer. I know it's a difficult time. I know it's not an ideal time to be doing your leaving cert with the pandemic and everything, but I wish you the best. And hopefully we'll see you in September, either on this great program, the BA Journalism, or on the BA Global Media, its sister program that we also administer here in the discipline of journalism and communication. I'm Tom Fell. Thanks very much, and all the best.